takes time. So when things get tough, just remember, pep talk yourself and remember that voice, that lion in your heart that made you want to get started and took that footstep to get over the boundary of putting this money in and get started, because you're already past that now. So
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the pep talk. I need it. So I'll be calling you more often when I need pep talks, Aubrey. Hey everybody, welcome to Coffee and Crazy People. This is Alexis, and with Cat Pharm, we host this podcast. We release episodes every week or so, and we're focused on cats, cannabis, and community. So today I have Aubrey Elliott with me. Aubrey is one of the owners of Exclusive Gummies. He works here in the state of Texas. I'm focused on Texas, if anybody didn't know. That's where I'm from and where I want to stay. So I like to reach out to people, entrepreneurs in the state, and see what they're up to. So thanks, Aubrey, for joining us today.
yeah.
Why don't you give us a little background? How'd you get into the cannabis space, and what's been keeping you busy these days?
I'd say I probably got it back into it around 2007. That was my college days, senior year in high school. I was definitely against it. My older brother got in some trouble, and just hearing from what my parents said, thought it was the worst thing in the world until I finally tried it. Fell in love with it, I think. And besides the recreational aspect, I noticed how it kind of helped my stomach. I think in college I was on the verge of Crohn's disease and had to do some colonoscopies and never made it that far. But I did get introduced to cannabis, in college as well, and really kind of fell in love with it and noticed the personal benefits from it. And I think it's all kind of been developing from there. Met a lot of good people and teammates and partners, and I guess the rest is kind of downhill. But
Very cool. It's always good to hear like those startup stories, like what really influenced your decision to like move in this direction.
yeah,
What about your
first time
business? When did you kick off your gummy shop, and tell us a little bit about it?
first Instagram post was January 2021. So this would be starting off on year 3. I really feel like we're just now kind of getting launched and getting our packaging and everything dialed in and ready to go. Obviously, we've always had the products, but now it's time to bring that packaging to match everything and get it out to distribution and hit the market. So we've been doing really well there, crushing it. The holidays were super busy, and we continue to only get busier as we scale up. So I'm really excited about it. And not only that, having a really good product that everyone enjoys and likes and helps a lot of folks. That's like the best part about it, because you'll see me passing out stuff for free all the time.
I've had a few of those samples, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think you are kicking ass with your marketing and getting into stores. I'm running into you all the time now here in Austin, Texas. So way to go.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
What's
we
that
also offer a white
process?
label for a lot of folks. So there's a
Gotcha.
lot of other brands we make gummies for, offer wholesale and then retail on our website too.
Cool. Excellent. So a little bit more like, what is your space that you really focus on as a cannabis business? Is it more of the wholesale distribution side of things, or are you looking to really get into like retail in the future, or grow, or you really niched into the edible consumable hemp products? What is it? What's it look like for
Yeah.
you?
So obviously starting off wholesale and white label is definitely, always the way to go. Retail as well is also great for profit margins. People kind of think you're competing against one another, but you're not. People do business with who they like. So if you have the product there on hand that day of, and it's for a similar price and not overpriced, by 10 or 20 bucks, they're obviously going to buy it from that person because they can get it the same day of. So just because we offer retail, it's not really competition, but some people do want to buy it ahead of time and get it there and not go into the store. So they have that option as well. 2023, definitely focusing kind of, I don't know, it's hard. We're launching vape exclusive. I'm pretty excited about that. But, we focus on gummies and obviously vape cartridges. So edibles and vapes are definitely the way to go.
What do you think about the new? I know recently Dishes started pushing out their prohibition again to smokable hemp products. Just curious, like, what's the word on the streets in your neck of the woods on how that's going to get rolled out? I think they put March 1st, they're going to start enforcing that change to the rules. So
And you see that a lot, I think, in every state, and it's always going to be changing with legislation. Other states, you can see some people put labels on their products for smokable hemp that it's not for inhalation or not for human consumption, sort of thing. I guess there's always little loopholes around it, but it's always going to be changing. We'll see what happens. It's kind of nerve wracking, but it's also a lot of people you talk to, they're kind of fearful of, and I get it, but that's because all their eggs are in one basket. Whereas CBD, CBG, that's still a huge market for me. Probably one of our main ones, honestly, as well as Delta 9 and some of the other cannabinoids. But if they ever shut that down, CBD is still alive and well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would 100% agree. Coming from the pet side of things, it's obviously my focus is on the CBD side as well. But I'm really surprised as I get out into the field, like how many consumers only want CBD products or CBG products. I could ask for CBN a lot too. So
Okay.
I think mostly sleep aids is what people are
Right.
looking for. But I find it interesting because I hear on one perspective, it's like, oh, if it's not, psychoactive THC product or some kind of other minor cannabinoid, nobody wants it because they can get the real deal from wherever, right? But that's not
Yeah.
true. It's really not true. There is a market out there for things that are non-psychoactive. So
Absolutely. And it all kind of comes down with what they're familiar with. I have a lot of clients that start off with Delta 8 THC due to the storefronts in their area. So they're more familiar with that, obviously, rather than the real deal. So that's why they like to stick with that rather than Delta 9 THC. So again, it's just kind of about an educated experience and letting them know, it's basically the same chemical compound from cannabis, but from a hemp plant. So I try to, once, Delta 8's a big market, there's always feedback that it's bad, the acids in there or the chemicals, pesticides, yada, yada, yada. But I think it all comes down to have a quality product at the end of the day.
absolutely.
So, and also on our products, a lot of people do ask about CBN or melatonin. I start off with our 25 milligram full spectrum CBD, and that usually seems to help them. If they need something a little bit stronger, I'll step them over to our 5 milligram Delta 9 THC or a 10 milligram Delta 9 THC. And after that, they aren't asking for a CBN product or a melatonin product anymore. Sleep, anxiety, less cramps, less headaches. Got clients with Parkinson's, and the feedback's just kind of amazing how CBD or any of these other cannabinoids by themselves without terpenes can offer those therapeutic benefits to get people back to living their best daily lives.
Yeah, I can't take melatonin, and not like for any other reason than it doesn't work. Like I just can't seem to find either the right product or it keeps me up at night. So
Melatonin
uh,
does?
yeah, it's really surprising because everybody's like, "Well, why don't you take melatonin?" I was like, "I can't. Like my brain races all night long on melatonin."
Everyone is different, and that's something you have to find out and experience, and that's something where I like to take pride in our gummies and those precise dosages, because once you can kind of experience the 25 milligram CBD or the 510 milligram Delta 9 THC consistently, you can really figure out usually how much you need on that daily basis, even though there's other factors that come into play. Once you figure that out, you can know you only need 10 milligrams. You don't need 50 milligrams anymore. And that's the way I am, 10 to 25 milligrams is perfect for me. If I eat one of our 50 milligram pyramids, I'm pretty ripped. And if I eat two of those, I'm in a coma. So, but I understand why I understand why people love those. Everyone's dealing with a lot of bullshit, and you eat one of those and your day just gets better.
It does. I have to
And
admit, I ended up turning an evening into a dance party on one of those 50 milligram.
you ever watch It's Sunny in Philadelphia?
Oh, of course.
Did you ever see the 10-year reunion part where they get on stage and they're dancing and they're just doing really good? And then it cuts to them and they're just a drunk slob, like drooling on themselves.
Exactly how I feel, right?
That's how I feel when I take them too.
Let loose, right? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I loved it though. I mean, it is an experience, and no, I can't do it every day. I'm definitely more on the 5 milligram side as well. But that moment, because it was a really euphoric feeling, like it helped me to just kind of let go of all of the stress that I was carrying that day. And we had a really good evening, even though I was lit, man. I was lit for hours. But it was a fun time. So like I keep that in the back of my head. It's like, all right, next time I want to have a fun time, I know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. So I used to eat those on the golf course, and one I was good, and then the second one I was just eating in the golf cart, wasn't talking to anyone. They're like, "What happened to that guy?" You know, he ate two
Where'd the
pyramids.
ball
That's
go?
what happened. So, uh,
Gosh, how many
like,
balls did you lose when you?
but yeah, like once you learn, what kind of dosage and what you like, you can really tune it down. You don't always need a bunch of cannabinoids in one product, and that's kind of why I like to keep ours simple. Just CBD, just CBG, just Delta 8, just Delta 9. So
Very cool. So when you're not working, what do you like to do for fun?
great question. I feel like it's been a couple years since, but love the outdoors. Grew up on a ski mountain and golf course, obviously in Angel Fire, New Mexico. So I love getting on the mountain. It's been a couple years since I did that because I had my knee blown out on my hometown mountain in 2020. Um, some lady took me out like a linebacker and tore my ACL, meniscus, and MCL.
No,
But I'm
that's
looking to get
terrible.
back to skiing this winter or next winter. And other than that, just doing something outdoors with family or, enjoying time with friends. So
Very good. I always like to ask, do you have any pets at home?
I do not anymore since I started this company. My Huskies went with my ex-girlfriend. Just the pet hair and all that, with insurance, I just couldn't afford having any pet hair around. I do see them, not as much as I should, but she's got the wolf pack under her control right now.
Yeah, understood. I get it. It is hard. I also, make certain products at home and I have to go through very stringent like separation processes to
Yeah.
keep like when we're producing because we make a tea, a hemp tea, and so I have to like put them in another room. Everything has to be sterilized. We have like filters in the house like to
Ooh,
keep things clean. But
yeah.
it makes me feel more comfortable knowing that I'm going through these protocols and I can offer my product without feeling like overly concerned. So I totally
Yeah,
agree.
I couldn't even have pet hair on my clothes anymore because that's like how bad it was. And even though they've been out of my house for about a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, I still find this stuff everywhere.
Of
So,
course.
but yeah, just taking it into clothes in the office on you, I'm like, oh gosh. Or if an employee comes in with it in, I'm like, what are you doing? Put on these clothes, put on the suit. So, but I love them. Two Huskies, they're a handful. They lived on with me on 33 acres, so they'd be swimming in the pond while I was fishing, or be out shooting guns, riding the four wheeler, and they'd be cruising with me and the horses out there. And they lived their best life, but now they're living in the apartment life, spoiled with the ex girlfriend. So
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm very
Spoiled.
thankful for her.
I
Yeah.
bet.
What
Keeping
about
them
you? How
busy.
many pets do you have?
So I have three cats at home. I had four, but I say recently, we're still grieving. We lost him back in July, August, and he was very little still.
Oh
So,
shit,
but it is the way of the world. You lived on many acres. You understand, like animals come and go, and
it's hard.
you never know. There's predators out there. So we definitely lost one, and the other ones. I have one boy. His name is Aldo. He's a little tabby, and then
I like
I've
that.
got black. All my cats are named after Tarantino film characters. So we had
Ah,
Jules Winfield, and then we got Vincent Vega. And so Jules passed a long time ago. He was 15, and so we've just kind of carried the tradition on. Vinny now is 12. When I got Vinny, I was told she was a boy. So that's the only reason why we brought her home because we were like
well, she's
adamant.
a
I'm
he,
gonna name
so
my next cat Vincent Vega, so I need a boy cat. And so they were like, yeah, it's a boy. Take it home. And so I must have been in denial because we went a really long time before I was like, okay, this is a girl cat. I'm gonna have to like 9 months. I was like, okay, finally, I'll accept the fact that this is a girl cat. And we kept the name though because it was just too difficult at that point to rename your pet. And then I also have Mrs. Mia Wallace. So she's a feisty one. She's a tortoise shell, and all of them have different personalities, and that's what I really like about animals. Like it's just like people.
right.
Like
Takes a little
they
time to get
bring
to
a
know them,
certain
but
energy to the room that just changes the dynamic. It makes it fun. So
yeah, I feel like their faces really develop that personality and character too once you get to know them. Like you can actually see someone in them. So
Yeah,
they're better than most
absolutely.
people, I'll tell you that much.
I'd agree. All my stickers and most of my designs are all based after all my cats. So if you ever go check out my stuff, you'll be like, that's at least one of their cats. I've had a lot of cats in my lifetime. I grew up in a rural area, so we had a lot of, not that we owned a lot of acreage or anything, we just were surrounded by a lot of open areas.
Mm. Hear a bunch of those feral cats out there fighting.
Exactly. People would dump their animals all the time, and so
Oh, I hate
they
that.
always end up at my house. Like that's my life, and that's why pets are so important to me. There was a point in time, I must have been like 12 years old. We had like 6 dogs and 11 cats, and it's like none of them were ours. They just ended up. It's like they knew they had like these homing devices. It's like, all right, you get dumped out here, you go to this person's house. They're gonna
Yeah.
feed, take care.
Sanctuary.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go to
So
Alexis' house. She's got the sanctuary right down the road. Be like, all right, thanks.
I wish I had a sanctuary now. I'd have more if I could, but that's the whole
Right.
point, right? Long term, we'll hoping to get this cat cafe opened up. So
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
that's our journey. So it'll be fun.
You'll be seeing a bunch of people pull them in there on leashes and everything.
Right. Well, that's a question somebody asked me is like, will people bring their cats to the cat cafe or will you adopt them out? And it kind of, I had to pause because I was like, well, I guess it could work either way. You'd be surprised how many people I run into now that take their cats out with them on leashes. Almost every single event that I do, I run into one person that has their cat on a leash. And I don't know if it's just a city thing or if it's like
That's
the
probably what it
evolution
is.
of cat ownership. So it's really surprising to me. My cats wouldn't do it. There's no
I
way
fig-
I could put a cat on a leash. Like,
I figure
no.
without a leash, they'd probably run off. So
I don't. Mine would wiggle out of the leash, so I'd have to figure out a better harness situation to tighten him in.
that's fun.
But it's cool to watch, like people really embracing their cat ownership, and like I'm a cat lover, and my cat's a part of my life. And if you can take your dog out, I can take my cat out.
Yeah.
So and if you've got a cat that has that kind of personality, go for it. There's certain cat breeds that need a lot of activity. They like social interaction, just like dogs, right? You have different breeds, they have different characteristics, so might
Gotta
as
have that
well.
stimuli.
Yeah, exactly. Because sitting at home can wear anybody down, including a cat.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, I'll talk about cats all day. Don't get me started, Aubrey. Don't get me started. It's my
No, they're
favorite
awesome.
thing.
They're awesome as long as they're not whooping your ass, When that happens, they start giving you some fight back, and you're like, all right, okay, settle down, settle down.
Exactly. Those claws.
Have you seen those new litter boxes? They're like $600 to $1,000. It's like a Dyson ball. I actually slept on a friend's couch one night and I didn't even know I was sleeping next to it. That's how like clean and good smelling it was. Because normally I would never sleep by that. And I woke up next morning, I was like, what was that? He's like, oh, that's their litter box. I was like, it was like a foot from it. And so they work well. I'd recommend that to every cat owner, just to keep your house smelling a little bit
They're
better.
called a litter robot. We'll go ahead and just do a little advertising. I do have
Yeah.
one. I've had one
Check
for
the
2
Amazon
years.
link in the bottom.
Right.
Affiliate marketing right there.
Right. Come on, litter robot. I need you to sponsor this episode. No.
Yeah.
I love it though, but you're absolutely right. Like I sometimes forget because it's so hands off. Like it dumps it into a little tray. Like I really only clean it once a week. I don't have to do anything else. And then once a month, I have to take the big ball off and rinse it out and wash it down.
Yeah.
But it's very quiet for the
I
most
was
part.
impressed.
The only thing I'll tell you that I run into if you've got larger cats, it's a small little compartment. So my older cats, when I introduced the litter box, were used to like the basic square rectangular litter box. They were like, and not that they're big. My tortoiseshell, she's probably 14 or 15 pounds, so she's on the larger side for a cat. She couldn't fit, so she didn't like the close space. So it took her a little bit
Don't
longer to
blame her.
acclimate to it. So The good side about that though is because I do have indoor outdoor cats. Is like if she doesn't want to use the litter box, she'll just go to the door, and I'll just open the door and let her out, and
Nice.
she'll go out. So either way, it's winning. I'll take.
Yeah. Good cat
Yeah.
to have.
Anyways, yeah, litter robot's pretty good, but it is costly. It's expensive. Like, and you can only use a very specific litter with it. Like, it has to be
Shit.
like this clumping litter, crystal litters. I don't know. So I've made it work, but I had to find the right litter because some of them would stick to the sides. Hey, there is a company who's manufacturing right now a hemp-based cat litter. So
Smart.
I'm keeping my eye out on that because I'd love to incorporate more hemp products into my cat line. So hemp
Yeah.
litter is cool. They sent me some hemp bedding, in which I tell people who are into the cat space, especially like in wintertime, when you're taking care of community cats or outside cats, you want to put like shelters out there. That hemp bedding works really well to like insulate rather than like a blanket or something. Because if the blanket gets wet, then that it's
Just
never going
holds
to
it.
dry. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really pushing some hemp products for the cat community because I think they could benefit for it. And then, of course, some hemp cat furnitures and things like that. So we got plans long term to really build out this hemp cat community.
And you got your t-shirts and your merchandise too,
Oh
so
my
keep
gosh,
those around.
rolling
I was gonna wear
fatties.
mine today, but I forgot it was a small for my girlfriend, so it did not
That's
fit.
all right. You got to market your own brand, so you're wearing the right shirt.
Ooh.
I love it.
The Texas
So,
blue bonnet.
oh, okay. I like it.
Yeah. No, it's a hemp flower, but something like that, right?
Uh-huh. I wish it grew just like the blue bonnets did all over Texas.
They could if we had
We're
some Johnny Apple seeds out there rocking and rolling, but probably be a bunch of swag by that time.
I know it. Oh my gosh. Somebody asked me the other day, what would you recommend, like versus indoor or outdoor grows? And not that I'm not a growing connoisseur at all. So I just pretend to know a little bit about this industry. And so
Yeah.
my personal opinion, I think, is I would, it's so difficult to monitor nature, right? Like you never know what the temperature is going to be like or the weather. It's so
Murphy's
inconsistent.
Law.
Bugs, like you can't control all that unless you have a controlled setting. So I'm leaning towards indoor grow if I'm going to recommend something to somebody. But I know that there's going to be people who have preferences. Like this individual was like very organic, all natural kind of person, like that vibe, right? And so I was like, well, I really want an outdoor grow because of that, that's
Right.
just their thing. So
A lot of factors come into play, and that's something I was going to say. It all depends on your grower, the genetics, what they're doing with it. So, there's different styles and different options and different price points.
absolutely, absolutely. So much stuff to consider. You can go down rabbit holes in this industry, which I have, like, the legal side of things and compliance, and then,
That's
products.
another big thing, compliance. Every state's different and it's always changing. We talked about that when we first opened up. So that's something a lot of people need to stay on top of. But you also look at it, a lot of us are trying to obey the laws, and there's also a huge market out there that doesn't give a shit. And they're just, trapping and throwing it out there. Sprayed peach rings, sprayed gummy worms, doesn't matter what it is. They don't really, testing always varies. So kind of interesting to see. It's the Wild West right now. Love it.
It is the Wild West. I like the Wild West throw. There's a lot of opportunity, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
draw when there's the Wild West. When you get
And when you bring a
to
good product,
yes,
bring a good
exactly,
product
right?
to market, and you earn your clients' trust, the customers' trust, and from there, it's great. I haven't had any clients ever ask me for a COA. Maybe one, but I really can't think of it. I've probably had 3 or 4 people, competition, other people that own labs, sort of thing. But I've never really had a customer ask about that at all. As long as they trust
That's
you, you have a good
interesting.
product. So.
Yeah, I find it interesting because that seems to be the word on the streets, is like everybody's really pushing for better testing, that consumers are asking more questions about what's in their products. But if you've already proven yourself, then they have no reason to
Yeah.
question, right?
And it's still nice to check, I like to check, but you can send it to a couple different labs, and I do expect a variance, but I don't expect stuff to vary, 20, 25 milligrams and our gummies. But it is also nice to make sure, the distillate, the oil you're getting doesn't have pesticides, heavy metals, or anything like that. But it's crazy, you can take in a bunch of other people's products off the shelves and send them in, and I guarantee half the stuff that's on their label isn't going to come back accurate.
Yeah. I had to tell somebody the other day because they were asking me like to compare my product to something else. And I was like, I can't. Like, there's just no way for me to tell you like how my product does in comparison to somebody else's. You're going to have to try it because
Yeah.
it is so unique in some ways, right? Like, even when you're talking about strains that you're carrying, I do carry some hemp flower and, they're all cat themed because hey, why not? And I can't tell you other than what the components of what that is, like how it's gonna make you feel or whether you're gonna like it better. And so you got to just try some stuff, right? Try it
Yeah,
till you
a lot
find
of
what you
different
like.
factors come into play again. How'd you wake up? Were you in a good mood when you woke up? Have you exercised? You have endorphins flowing. A lot of people don't take any of that into play. So it's always
Yeah.
going to be a little bit different.
So your journey into entrepreneurship, what's been the best, or what are some highlights, and what are some like things that you've had to navigate, maybe challenges that you didn't expect?
Just for this company or in life in general?
Hey, life in general works.
Okay. I grew up, I was selling golf balls. I was finding on the golf course, probably like second, third grade, and I was in Boy Scouts, became an Eagle Scout, was always like the number one popcorn candy salesman. And then I was also going door to door, probably like 13, 14, and selling stuff out of catalogs. So kind of always had that, hate to say salesman, but kind of that business mentality since I was a young man. And when I found out I enjoyed and loved cannabis in college, kind of started going down that route. So I've been doing it for a while, but with Exclusive Gummies, I finally developed a career in my own business where I could be my own marketing. Sorry, I smoked some Scotty Pitt before this. I think it's all kicking in finally. But with Exclusive Gummies, I finally been able to become my own marketing boss, the CEO of marketing. And I was always applying for jobs, in sales, marketing, was always getting denied. And some of these were just kind of jobs, just like part-time, but I could never find anything. And now with Exclusive Gummies, I have the opportunity of a lifetime, and the sky's the limit with whatever I want to do and my budget. So I'm pretty happy with that. And people always say good marketing and a good brand will always beat a really good quality product. So when we have both of those, sky's the limit, and we're not stopping. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fantastic.
and it's good to have, we got to have a lot of people on team, because you can't do it by yourself. So we have other people like you and a lot of our other clients, and without y'all's support, we wouldn't be where we are.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm struggling. I'm a one-woman show over here, so
Hey, I hear
it gets
you.
hard. It gets hard.
And
So
I told you that
I'm
one
not
piece of
even lie. The last 2 days for me have been like, what the hell am I doing? Like, but
no, and
you
I
gotta pull up your bootstraps, keep going, because I'm
yeah.
committed, right? Committed.
And I
So
told you, listen to that little voice inside you that told you to get started, because times are going to get tough. I've seen it. Everyone sees in their industries, and there's a lot of fear out there, but you got to overcome that and try not to let that dictate you, and just keep making those calls, trying to get new clients and doing what you're doing. So it does take time. A lot of people thought this was a gold rush and it was going to happen, and they were going to get rich overnight or in 3 to 5 years. Unfortunately, it's a long run game, and you have to put the time in and earn your clients one by one. So.
yep, absolutely. I do. I struggle sometimes with like doing that reflection piece, right? Like I'm one of those like I got to keep moving forward, and I will continue to move forward because that's what drives me. But it's the like, okay, what am I moving forward for? Like, what's the progress that has been made? I have to force myself to kind of take that peek back to say like, hey, a year ago we weren't even doing this, so
Yeah, high five.
right, yeah.
And it's funny you say
So
that, because I was actually thinking about that probably this morning or yesterday, and that's something I'm trying to do more, is also look back, look at where you came. a lot of us expect, stuff to be done again overnight, but it does take time. It takes hard work, takes networking. You got to put all the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, networking's definitely not my strong suit. I have a lot of, I don't know why. I've been in corporate world for a long time. Not that I haven't had exposure to networking, but it is where my biggest fears lie. Like, and it's interesting when I tell people that because they see me and it's like I talk to everybody. I'm pretty loud. I giggle a lot. I try to be nice, but it's all a front. It's what I taught myself to do to get through corporate America.
Okay.
It's not natural at all. And so when you're entering a new space, like getting connected all over again, it's really, really challenging. So what would you like? You're a sales guy, you said it. Like, what's some advice that you would give me or our listeners on like how do you get out there? Like, how do you make connections in this industry? How do you get over those fears?
Well, I think you see it on Instagram all the time. You have new followers and other businesses out there that are in similar industry, and they all, I guess the word would be leech, but they go on there and get a lot of the same followers, and they're not building quality stuff at that time. You really want quality followers, quality views, because without that, no one's going to buy your product. I'd rather have 10,000 followers and getting 8,000 likes on my product, and 5,000 of those people buying something or buying from one of our stores, rather than having 100,000 likes and no one buying anything. And I think on Instagram you see that a lot. A lot of people, it's a big group fest of everyone, and a lot of people will switch lanes and they won't stay with it. But if you have a good quality product and you know what you're doing, you can stay with it and go that route. But I honestly don't remember what the question was.
Yeah, it's okay.
Let's start that one over. Let's go with it again. Take two. Take two on that one.
I do couple questions.
Oh, sorry. The advice on getting out there for people. Okay. Let me, cut that one. Take two. I think something to keep in mind is it does take time. You got to go knock on doors. You got to make those cold calls, but you also have to have a biography or a portfolio to show when you contact these people if they do take an interest, because you're competing against thousands of other products out there. I'm just specializing in gummies, but even then I have to go out there and compete with 1,000 other brands, cannabinoids, yada, yada, yada. And why buy exclusive gummies when you can go out to a distributor online and buy everything from them with one swipe? So you really kind of have to figure out what the product is you're selling, how to get it in there, and how to get in touch with the owner and make them like you. Because at the end of the day, we do business with who we like. So cold calls, knocking on doors, you got to go introduce yourself, and it's not the easiest thing, but something I always told myself was, hey, in 420 more stores, when I hit that 420 store, it's gonna be my biggest breakthrough. And I keep telling myself that. Well, another 4,200 stores or another 4,200 people I contact is gonna be my next big breakthrough. And that kind of helps keeping me propel forward, making those cold calls, because it does get repetitive and it does get old. But you'll find out what avenues work best for you to get out there. And it might be going to events like how we met down in Austin. Going to those events and get your name out there. It's what you enjoy. And if you take a couple of clients away, at least one from all those events, then that's an avenue you want to keep going down and going that route.
Absolutely. It's definitely, because I'm so new. Like we had our first event, and that was kind of like the kickoff for me. And again, the idea had been in my head for several years and it had kind of evolved. I've been wanting to do a cat cafe dispensary for a long time. Just wasn't quite sure how to go about it. And then, life gets in the way. And so I turned
time
40.
And money. That's all you ever need. Time and money.
Time and money, exactly. If I had time and money. But I turned 40 and I was like, shit, like I got to do this now or not do anything at all. So I'm calling it my midlife crisis. And so literally like 2 days before my birthday, I was like, I'm going to sign up for this event. I'm going to go. My very first event. So that was in May. And then, I consecutively did a bunch of events through the end of 2022, which, that's really been how I've picked up all my followers, all of my contacts.
Good.
So it has been working out really well for me. And, it's good to get the feedback too, right? Because it's a crazy concept. It's a niche concept. So I hear, like in my head, it's like, how do you think this is going to make you money? Like, who's going to show up to your cat cafe dispensary? Well, I feel like at this point I've talked to enough people where people like the concept. I think it
Yeah.
can really do well. Now it's about getting the money.
Yeah, and then it takes time to market and brand it and get it out there, which luckily you got me on your team now, so obviously I'm going to
That's
help you with
right.
that. But it does take time. It takes time. So when things get tough, just remember, pep talk yourself and remember that voice, that lion in your heart that got made you want to get started and took that footstep to get over the boundary of putting this money in and get started because you're already past that now. So
Thank you. Yeah, I
yeah.
appreciate the pep talk. I need it. So I'll be calling you more often when I need pep talks, Aubrey.
I, I used to call my friend Keith Hickman, who owns Hickman Creations. They do hot rods and stuff up in Gunter, Texas. But I used to go into my job. I was the #1 salesman at Meineke in Little Elm, and they wrote an article on me, #1 salesman in the entire U.S. at all the Meinekes. But I would call them and sit in the parking lot for like 10, 20 minutes, like, dude, I don't want to go in there. So I kept asking for help. They wouldn't get it. It was just a stressful job for me. I'm like, dude, I just need to quit. He goes, you don't need that job. They need you. So go in there and tell them. And then he came and picked me up on a limo one day, and that was that. No?
I love it. You got to support one another. That's how, we build economy, we build industry. And, that's what I want for Texas. I want us to get past this hump. And, I get the whole, recreational side and, taking a long time, the slow growth in the medical space, but hey, they ended up licensing again. So that's a good direction. That's a good sign for me. I take
Yeah.
those baby steps to mean that, Texas will come around in the long term. And so it's really about, holding out and making sure that you're delivering a good product and being ready for when that momentum picks up. And then there's still a lot of consumers out there that I don't think have been tapped into. You mentioned it earlier, like educating people. Like I find that there's still so many people who don't understand what this industry really is. And so um, there's
Educate them
when I
one by
see
one.
that one by one, exactly. And when I see that, it just means to me that there's a lot of opportunity out there and people that are going to be finding out, how CBD and other cannabinoids can help them in the long run. And pet space for me, for certain, it's untapped, really. There's very few people in the Texas space specifically that are focused on pet products. And, there are so many pet owners that are looking for ways to medicate and give their animals relief without going the pharmaceutical route. And so I run into so many people. It's like my cats are on Prozac or, whatever, kitty Prozac, kitty whatever. There's everything you take, the kitties can take too, basically. They just have a different version, but they don't like giving it to them, right? For the same reasons we don't like taking it, side effects and, lethargy and whatever else, So there's a lot of opportunity and it will continue to grow. It's just going to take a lot longer than, we're not going to be
It does take
New York,
time.
unfortunately. It's not going to happen for us like
Yeah.
that. Nice and easy and quick over, although they're struggling with their
Texas will be a
legalization.
big market when it hits, which again, only the big players that have been lobbying for the last 3, 5, 7 years, they're the ones that are going to get distribution rights. So
Mm.
small and pop shots we'll make it for a little bit. We'll either get shut down or it'll be hard to stay compliant. We'll see.
Yeah, well, and maybe there's a space for the small mom and pop shops also, right? Like to help them build that on that compliance, and how do we bring that? Because I'm all about keeping it all, right? I want everybody to thrive in the community.
Absolutely. Network, and put that team together because that's what it takes. And a lot of
Yeah,
people don't realize that, they want to take and never give or put in the work and they want to get rich overnight or within the first couple of years. And unfortunately, that's not always how it works.
yeah, not at all. Well, any last things you want to talk about today, or any final words you want to share with our listeners?
Let's see. Comes to mind. You got any events planned for 420?
So I don't, and I'm struggling this year, like trying to get ahead, like try to figure out like where to get my space. The other thing that I learned like through the course of 2022 is that even though I sell CBD products, going to heavily focused hemp or CBD or cannabis themed events is not good for me from a sales perspective. So
Okay.
my direction has been more focused on, pet themed events or things outside of the hemp space.
That's good you
Um,
figured that out though. And that's what
yeah,
you have to
I
do.
do mention,
Unfortunately, if you don't go out there, you won't figure that out. So
right. So nothing for 420 yet. Because in Austin, like I'm focused on South by. I'm trying to figure out what I can get into for South by, which is a month before we get to 420. They usually do Bob Marley Fest here in town, so that's always an option for 420. And then somebody was doing some kind of cannabis conference here the last 2 or 3 years, and I don't know if they're going to be doing that during 420 also. So those are the two things that were just back in my mind. I know that happens on an annual basis, but I can't think past Sunday.
right, yeah.
How
That's
about
funny.
you?
I've
Anything
been
going on in your neck of the woods?
so many options. No, I haven't really found anything to do yet. Still working on that. But it's funny you say the South by Southwest. I'm sure a lot of people have, but been emailing back and forth with them. So we'll see. It might be a bigger picture there. Maybe not this year, maybe down the road. But
They
that's all
do
it
an
takes. Like
entire panel on cannabis industry during
I
that
saw
week.
that.
So
Yeah.
it's a good time to kind of get out there because there's a lot of people from different places in the industry that are here in Austin. I had thought about trying to hook up with there is a cat cafe here in Austin already. It's called the Perfecto Cat Lounge. And so if they're going to be hosting any markets or anything, I might try to jump in there. There's also Capital Factory, which is, again, I come from a corporate background, so I kind of dabble in tech. I kind of dabble in just business.
Good.
So the Capital Factory is hosting its own startup week. So, you can always look at that too and try to go in and network, meet people. So I get as far as knowing these events, not actually committing to going. That's where it's the weird people in my head tell me, nah, it'll be too much anxiety. You can't go.
I hear you. No, it's tough to get in there. I commit to stuff too sometimes, and then either I'm not feeling well the dime of, or there's stuff always that comes about. I usually need to wait till the last minute before I make any commitments. So I hear that. Well,
So are you close to the Dallas Fort Worth area? Where are you
mhm.
at?
I'm about an hour north of Dallas. I say
Okay.
north Dallas, but I'm up where
So
Jerry
how
Jones
is
is buying up all the land. I'm probably in the hottest spot in North Texas where all the property, all the ranches are getting sold and houses are popping up everywhere, and there's just dust and dirt in the sky. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when they move in on your territory, but change is inevitable, right?
Yeah, it's like Yellowstone, but a lot smaller scale.
Yeah.
But I am launching the vape exclusive .com brand come 2023. So if you need any vape cartridges down the road, keep me in mind for that. Obviously, those are another hot topic, as well as edibles. So be good to have on
Awesome.
board.
Very cool. When are you planning to launch that? Do you have a tentative time or?
I'm hoping by the end of March I'll have everything ready. Just working on packaging right now. Once I have
Okay.
packaging, we'll be ready to go. So,
That's cool. Good for you guys. I love to see the growth and the progress that you've made over your 3 years. I
thank
mean,
you.
most small businesses close up shop after 2 years, right? That's your goal. Make it past 2 years and you're good.
Yeah.
So,
Start to see
being
the
so,
snowball effect, and obviously
yeah,
hemorrhaging a lot of money, but it's worth it. We've also got a
yeah,
lot of attention, people with millions and probably even billions of dollars reaching out, talking about either, a buyout or partnership. So there's things like that, obviously we're making a ripple in the water. Just got to keep doing what we're doing and bringing that superior product. So
very
it'll be
awesome.
good.
Well, cool. I'll look forward to checking out your vape products and,
Yeah,
you're part of the Cat Pharm team now, Aubrey. So I'll be calling you
absolutely.
for my affirmations every now and again.
Yeah, if you ever need that pep talk, you're feeling down, I'll be that voice that kind of comes up there and gets you going. I might talk a little shit, but we'll make sure we get you back on track and rocking and rolling. And it's okay to take some downtime. Like, we're in a high stress job. We deal with a lot of folks. So take time, put your phone off and relax, watch some TV, and You feel a little
Get
bit better the next
outside.
day, too.
Get
Yeah.
outside. That's
I try to
how
go
you
play
do it.
basketball every day to get the endorphins going. So that's one thing you won't regret is going to the gym.
That's true. And I have started that. That was
And I'm
also
fat as
part
shit.
of my midlife crisis. So I've been going to the gym every day. Sometimes it's a good day, sometimes it's not, but at least
The
I'm
one thing
showing
you'll
up.
never regret, getting the sweat and those endorphins flowing. Well,
Well,
thanks for
cool.
having me,
Thanks.
Alexis. And I'm really excited to get you your cat gummies probably here soon. So thanks for being patient with me. And I'll definitely help you market them and get it out there.
Anytime. I'm hemorrhaging money over here too. So the longer it
You got to.
takes, I can spread it out.
And you'll notice like a lot of people at the events and stuff we go to, you know, they got several $1 million invested ready to go. But it just comes down to sales, having a good product and doing what you're doing. So
I know it.
those
All right,
cat gummies are gonna rock and roll. Salute.
roll.
Have a good
I love
afternoon.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.